She was not born extraordinary. She achieved the extraordinary because she was focused, she had the willpower, she had the passion, and she was willing to sacrifice. Here's the biggest thing. And I look at boxing as a metaphor for life, simply because in boxing, over the years I've met many great fighters, and I've met many fighters that could have been potentially great. But like in life, they get knocked down, they stayed down. The great fighters climbed off the canvas. Muhammad Ali, Rocky Marciano, Manny Pacquiao. These guys climbed off the canvas. Sugar Ray Leonard, Joe Louis, all the great fighters. I don't think Floyd Mayweather's been down yet, has he? So I can't say he climbed off the canvas, but great fighters, when they face adversity, they stay focused and they weather the storms in life. It's not where you come from in life. It's where you're going that counts. Life hands you fate. Life handed her a lousy fate to be born into that kind of a poverty and to be sexually abused by the time she was 10 or 11 years old. Racism like you wouldn't believe it in the South. Look at her today. If she can do it, so can others. If you're willing to sacrifice the time. And if it's in here, you got to be strong up here. How do you get strong up here? Mentally tough. She's mentally tough. Don't let that smile kid you. Mentally tough comes from conditioning your mind. How can we condition our bodies? People leave here and go to the gym, lift the weight, condition the body, look good. But you got to mentally be strong. I learned that. The book I'm writing now is called The Predator Within. It talks about how this psychological monster moves into your head and builds its lair. And you've got to get it out of there. And you've got to get it out of there and think positive. Positive thinking. Exercise. That's what she did. Look at her today. Proud to know her. How many people watch CSI or have seen CSI? Great story here. I had the interview with a guy by the name of Anthony Zucker 4 or 5 times. I love this guy's story. This guy was at home one evening. Listen, 11 years ago. You know what he was 11 years ago? He was a baggage handler at a hotel in Vegas. He was making $8 an hour. $8 an hour. He wasn't happy in his job. He hated it. There was no future. One night, his wife, who was 8 months pregnant, was sort of in a funk. She wasn't feeling well, and she asked him to stay home with her. So they stayed over there watching television. They had a little apartment, he said, in the west end of Vegas, a little one-room crammed apartment. They began to watch this TV series on the science channel called Science Detective. He became fascinated watching how they would work with DNA, and they would take little strands of hair and take the DNA from it, and he would solve mysteries, murder mysteries. Suddenly this great idea popped up into his head. He says, wow, this should be a TV drama series. Now, bear in mind that Anthony Zucker knew nothing about forensic science. He had no idea, but this idea popped up. Everybody in this room gets ideas. They pop up. And I've met so many young people I work with, great ideas, great creativity. But they sit on these ideas and they just push them aside because they don't think they're good enough to go after them. This man learned how to write scripts, and he learned how to write script treatments in high school. That's the only experience he had. He had never dealt with forensic science. What did he do? He spent the next 6 weeks studying all he could about forensic science. From the computer, from all these different sites. He went to the library, talked to doctors, did what he could. This is a true story. This guy shared this with me. Just look, I mean, him now. I mean, 10 years ago, brokered and Humpty Dumpty. He wrote it, he finally put together a treatment, and then he drove from Las Vegas to Los Angeles. Now, he didn't know anybody, he had no contacts. That's another thing people today think. Many people I deal with, if I don't have the contacts, who's going to listen to me? Well, if you don't try, nobody's going to listen to you. You're right. You got to make noise. They say, what is it, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You got to let people know you're out there in the right way. And today you do that a lot through volunteer work, internships, whatever. You got to make contacts. You got to market yourself one way or another. Don't give up on yourself. Don't get frustrated if out of 20 phone calls only one person answers, man. You got to stay focused, stay on it. You can't give up on yourself. He drove to Los Angeles from Las Vegas, which was a 3.5-hour drive. Man, for 2 days he hit everybody he could. He had more doors slammed in his face than the Jehovah's Witness. Now, I'm not saying that to be, I'm not knocking Jehovah's Witness, because you know what, I have friends, but I'm just saying, on Sunday morning, those people are courageous, because man, hi, I'm from, boom, look out, the door's coming. Some of those guys are wearing long piece now. But he had doors slammed on him, drove home. He didn't give up. He was resilient, Anthony Zucker. You know what he did? He sat back down in that little apartment, changed the script around a bit, went out to Los Angeles again and spent 2 or 3 days. Nothing happened. Got home, told me 2 or 3 hours after he arrived home, he had a phone call from CBS. They said, we might be able to use this for a summer program. Deal done. All because he believed in his idea, and he stayed on it like crazy glue. He didn't give up on it. All those doors slammed in his face, he still believed in his idea, and he stayed on it. Today, he's a multi-millionaire, and he is also someone, a philanthropist that gives so much back. You have to believe to achieve it. If you believe it, you can achieve it, and you have to stay on it. And that's what Anthony Zucker did. And that's why I respect him. And whenever I need to interview him, he's always there. He's always ready to help other people. There's my man. To me, he was like, that's Smokey Robinson. He wrote all those great hits for Motown. He's the vice president of Motown. You know where he grew up? In the Brewster Projects down the road from me. There's a lot of famous people from the Brewster Projects. Joe Lewis, Sugar Ray Robinson, Diana Ross. They all grew up in the Brewster Projects. This man met Barry Gordy when he was 16 years old. He was broke, he had nothing. But he was a singer and a songwriter. And when he brought all his tunes to Barry Gordy began to critique his stuff and said, it's not bad, but you got a lot to learn, boy. You know what Smokey said to him? He didn't get upset and say, you know, people get upset, you give them some advice, they become defensive. You know what he asked him? The boy said, teach me that. Teach me what I should know. He opened up his heart. He proved it doesn't matter where you come from, it's where you're going that counts. When you lived in the Brewster Projects back then, they were rat-infested projects. Most people there never had hope. They were gang-infested. When you live in that kind of hopeless situation, and yet you come up with these beautiful love songs and romantic tunes like Smokey did. Look at this here. This man, it was him and his cousin that actually discovered Stevie Wonder. He inspired Marvin Gaye, Michael Jackson, Boyz II Men. This is the vice president of Motown. These songs are covered by the biggest names in the game. Does anybody know who Smokey is? He's old school. You ever hear of Smokey? You ever hear of Smokey Robinson? You didn't know that. You did not, right? I'm just joking. I'll go stand in the other. No, I'm just joking. Let me see what else I got here. Oh, there's my boy. I just stayed at his house. I just got back from West LA. Russell Peters is a personal friend of mine. I've known him since